In verse 7, and when the men of Ashdod saw how it was, they said, the ark of the God of Israel must not remain with us. Notice that phrase. For his hand is harsh toward us, and Dagon our God. Rather than turning to him, they send God away. Right? This is the third piece of evidence here. Right? They could have just stopped and prayed to him, but they decide to send him away. Charles Spurgeon shared the story of a man who was going to give a pound to some charitable institution, and a pound is the British currency. The devil said, no, you cannot afford it. Then said the man, I will give you 2 pounds. I will give 2 pounds. I will not be dictated in this way. Satan exclaimed, you are a fanatic. The man replied, I will give 4 pounds. Ah, said Satan, what will your wife say when you go home and tell her that you have given away 4 pounds? Well, said the man, I will give 8 pounds now, and if you do not mind what you are at, you will tempt me to give 16. So the devil was obliged to stop, because the more he tempted him, the more he went the other way. And Spurgeon said this, so let it be with us, if the devil would drive us to curse God, let us bless him all the more. And Satan will be wise enough to leave off tempting when he finds that the more he tempts to drive us, the more we go in the opposite direction. The point for our lives is this. Who do you listen to? Like the Philistines here want to send the ark away. They're listening here to the wrong voice. And in our lives, we can do things to push God away, but the reality is this. All of us must one day stand before God. All of us must one day face him and come to him and give account for our lives. And they're pushing God away now. They want to get the ark out of the country. Therefore, they sent and gathered to themselves all the lords of the Philistines and said, what shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel? And they say this, let the ark of God of Israel be carried away to Gath. So they carry the ark of God of Israel away. So they decide not to send the ark out of the country. Instead, they're going to send it to another city, right? And it gets sent here to Gath. If you can see the map here, it's going to go all the way south there. And the ark now is going to be a hot potato, right? You think about when you were little and you played hot potato, you take a ball or something and you pass it around till the music stops. They're sending the Ark of the Covenant around the country now, like the game of hot potato. In verse 9, so it was, after they had carried it away, that the hand of the Lord was great against the city with a great destruction. And he struck the men of the city, both small and great, and tumors broke out on them. Now the people of Gath now are stricken, so not only Ashdod got it bad, the ark goes to Gath and they're going to get it bad too. Here's what God is doing. God is showing the Philistines the power of the ark. He's revealing himself to them, right? Maybe not in the way anyone wanted to, but he's showing them who the real God is. Now, what's interesting to note here, this is in Gath. If you think back, or maybe you don't know this, but Goliath from the story David and Goliath is from Gath. More than likely, right? Goliath's family is feeling this. More than likely, Goliath is feeling this, right? All those at Gath would know the power of the God of Israel. And verse 10, therefore, they sent the ark of God to Ekron. Again, hot potato here, to another city. So it was as the ark of God came to Ekron that the Ekronites cried out, saying, they have brought the ark of the God of Israel to us, to kill us and our people. So news gets around from Ashdod and Gath, now to Ekron. And they see the ark and they start crying out. They're like, no way. So they sent, in verse 11, and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines and said, send away the ark of the God of Israel and let it go back to its own place, so that it does not kill us and our people. For there was a deadly destruction throughout all the city. The hand of God was very heavy there. You see, it appears that in Ekron as well, there's great destruction. They are going to call a national meeting about this with all the elders because it's become such a problem. In verse 12, and the men of the city, and the men who died, who did not die, were stricken with tumors. And the cry of the city went up to heaven. Notice that they cry out to heaven. but they don't turn to him. You see, rather than being judged by God, if they had just turned to him, they could have been blessed by him. But again, they're crying out to heaven with no repentance, no remorse here.